something going on. Like, you just told me you liked me last weekend. And so I'm like, if we're gonna talk, like, I need to be able to speak.
It was like, how are we talking but we don't speak to each other? Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Safe Space Podcast. I'm your host, Sydney Rosant, and I'm with my co-host,
Spencer Rosant.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You the co-host.
Mm-hmm.
You the co-host.
Yep.
Anywho, if you haven't subscribed yet and you're watching, what are you doing?
Exactly. And
What
like
do
it
you-
up while you're at it.
Right. Come on, let's go. Now.
So make sure that you're scroll down so you can comment immediately, right?
Immediately.
Once you hear something interesting, just
Immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And then like the video and share it with all your family and friends. All right.
let's get into it.
Okay,
Let's get into it.
So the first ever podcast episode I did with you, this was pre-co-host era.
Right.
Was it before the beginning of the school year for you?
It was.
It was before.
It was.
Okay, so we did a love update for you, love life update. We've never done one for me. Do we want to do one for me a little bit or no?
Yeah.
Okay, so
We can just talk about both of us.
okay. Do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
I'll go first.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Go on, Fitz.
Okay. So we talked about the hallway crush, right?
Yeah, whatever happened to Hallway Crush?
I don't even see hallway crush for real.
Dang.
Like, I've seen her like probably like a handful of times the entire year.
Okay.
And yeah, like
So she's not a crush anymore for you? Are you just not like attracted
move
to
on.
her, or you're just like there's nothing is there?
I mean, it's not that nothing is there, it's just nothing is there. Like, I can't explain it, but it's like not like nothing is there as in like, oh, like I tried, but it's just like nothing is gonna happen.
Right. You know what? There's some people. I think I do this a lot, where it's like I look and I admire God's creation.
Yeah.
And that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I don't care to like be friends with you. Like, I'm just gonna look at you and be like,
yeah.
he did his thing. He did. And you taking good care of yourself. Good for you. And that's literally all that it
Yeah.
is.
Like, I don't think I ever like seriously planned on trying to do anything with Hallway Crush.
Yeah.
It's just it's like crushing math, crushing hallway, like crushing the hallway. Like, it's just
Okay,
nothing
just
serious.
one of like the various
Yeah.
attractive people around, and you're like,
yeah,
you doing your thing,
we see
sis.
each other, right? Yeah.
so so Hallway Crush, she's just like, you're not pining after her or anything, but what went down during the school year for you?
Okay, so
Oh wow.
okay, so basically, so there was a girl that we didn't mention in the other podcast episode.
Okay. Do we want to give nicknames? Because we have Hallway Crush. What are we
Yes.
gonna call this one? I also I'm not sure because I feel like. Oh
We're
yeah,
gonna
I
call
know
her Plant.
What do you mean plant?
Just Plant. That's it.
All right.
Because I don't
Plant.
want to make it obvious, but
Oh,
like,
you're right. So plant. What about plant?
Okay, so Plant. I had a crush on Plant like way back when, like
What is way back when? We gotta be specific.
sophomore, like sophomore year.
This was winter or sophomore year? Did you have a crush on her?
Mm-hmm.
Did you tell me?
No,
Okay.
you never knew about that because I had a mutual friend, and so I was asking my mutual friend because my mutual friend thought that we were like a thing already, but we weren't, and then she at the time was like, no.
Okay, so she wasn't feeling you back.
But she didn't know that I was feeling her. She just like, my friend was just like, oh, like I ship.
Ah, I see.
And then she was like, no, like I don't really see it like that.
Ew.
So then fast forward to May, middle of May. I'm thinking like we're going into summer like single,
Right.
As a Pringle, like
Pringle.
Pringle.
Right.
And so she hits me up and she's like, "Yo, like I like you," and I was like, like right. And so I'm like, okay. And so I'm like, you know what? I might as well just give it a try because it's like I was feeling her. Like I didn't think she was feeling me, so I moved.
Right.
I moved on.
Okay.
But I don't have anything going on.
Okay.
So like, why not?
Yeah.
And
okay, can we first talk about the fact that I never really thought you were feeling her?
I tried to tell you and you were like, no, it doesn't seem like you did. I was like, I liked her for like 2 months and she just wasn't feeling me.
But you never said anything to me?
No, because I didn't think it was going to go anywhere. So
you only tell me about people that you think it's going to go somewhere?
I mean, I don't really move on from person to person like that.
Yeah, you're right.
There's not that many people to tell.
Okay.
I've told you everyone besides her because that's the only one I've had a mutual friend with.
Well, there's another one that I feel like you actually liked.
We'll get to that one a little later. Anyway, yeah. So May. Mm-hmm. So we're starting to talk, right? Mm-hmm. And so I, at this time, thought that like one talking stage means like you guys are going to date. Like nothing can go wrong from here.
Right.
Once you're in the talking stage, that means you're basically about to start dating.
Was this your first talking stage? I don't know if we referenced.
Officially.
I don't know if we referenced this because you never had you dated a girl freshman year for like how many months? Like 4?
It was just 2.
Okay, 2 months. But like there was definitely tension for a few months.
It was, yeah.
But there was never a talking stage, right? Because you guys were friends and then you just started dating.
Pretty much. Like there was like a little intermittent period between like friends and dating, but that was like 10 days.
Okay. So this was your first talking stage.
Yeah, like
so you
actually needing to get to know somebody like for real.
And you didn't understand.
Before dating. I did not understand. Like I didn't know that like stuff like that failed for real.
Really? Oh, like, I'm so sorry, Spence.
I thought I had the key to success. I was like, oh, finally. Like,
right. It's the bounce back.
The way it was only 3 days.
72 hours is crazy. 72 hours is very crazy. Was it a weekend? Was it like Friday to Sunday and then like
no, it was during the school week. It was like Sunday to Wednesday or something. Wow is correct.
Okay, so tell us how that went.
So Sunday we were talking. It's a little slow, but I'm just like, okay, first day jitters, whatever.
Yeah.
Second day comes around and I'm like, it's getting slower.
Okay.
And slower. Tuesday comes around. There's absolutely no conversation. No conversation anymore.
Okay.
And
Wednesday.
So I'm just like, is something going on? Like, you just told me you liked me last weekend. And so I'm like, if we're gonna talk, like, I need to be able to speak.
It was like, how are we talking but we don't speak to each other?
Yeah. And then so her friend takes her phone.
Yeah.
And is like...
Well, we got to give context because you weren't in person having these conversations.
Yes. Because
this was over Snapchat, and then her and a friend were supposedly, allegedly hanging out. We don't know if that's
at
true.
school. At school.
It was at school?
This was at school.
Okay, so they were allegedly together at school. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why I'm saying allegedly. I'm just throwing mad shade. Anywho. And then... the friend took the phone and texted you or Snapchatted you, right?
Snapped me, yes.
Okay.
Being like, oh, like she doesn't like you anymore.
Wow.
And I was like, she? I was like, what do you mean? And then the girl gets her phone back and is like, sends me she's like, yeah, I don't like you anymore. And so then I'm just like, I'm looking at the message. I'm like, I didn't even know what to say. I was like, okay. And then like I still don't even. Yeah, like too stunned to speak, right?
And then didn't she send? Wait, did you say that she sent you the definition of the word ick?
Yes.
That was bad.
That's bad. Like an Urban Dictionary.
That was so bad.
Like you can't get any more disrespected than that.
I would hope not. But maybe on the update we will find out if you can. So, but the story with Plant doesn't even end there. So we got to fast forward a couple months.
Summer goes by, nothing happens, and that's okay. That's fine.
Summer was a lot though.
Summer was a lot, but not that way. Anyway,
right.
Continue.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Never to be spoken of.
Let's
go.
fast forward.
Right.
So basically, it's like end of summer, like a few days before school. I'm suddenly in Plant's private story again. I'm like, oh, like why am I in here? And so I go look at the story, and it's this TikTok comment that's clearly targeted towards me, or else I just didn't end up in Plant's private story by accident,
Right. And what did it say?
And it was like when like you finally get in something and then you start overthinking it and then you mess it up. And then I was like, do I ignore?
What did you do?
I slid up on the story.
This is you know what Plant did to you? She said this, right? So, she put you in a private story, right? And then you were like, what's going on? And she's like, and then you're like, oh, is this about me, right? And then as you slide up, she completely like baited you,
bamboozled.
Right.
So basically, she just asked for another chance.
Okay.
So I'm like, you know what? Like, I don't have anything going on again. I'm like, maybe, second time's a charm. Maybe she actually, like I know that I didn't do anything wrong to her for her to stop liking me.
Right.
So I was like, maybe she just did overthink. Give her the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
Second try.
Right.
Second try lasted a week.
Okay.
So, right, okay. So, first 3 days, like, we're FaceTiming and stuff. But it's like we'll have good conversations when it's about, like, something super shallow. But then once I try to, like, actually, like, try to get to know her a little bit, like, I'm getting nothing. And I'm having to ask to FaceTime every single time. So I'm like, is she going to ask me, like, what's up? And she didn't. And we just stopped, like, texting or anything. No. I asked her if she wanted to hang out, like, the third day that we were, like, FaceTiming and stuff. And she was like, yeah, sure, let me just see if I'm available. And I was like, okay, just get back to me on that or whatever.
Yeah.
Never got back to me on that. Date passed. Nothing happened.
So you asked her for a specific day?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the day passed. So then the next day, I'm like, I don't know whether I should just leave this alone because, like, we're going back to school. And, like, if I see her, like, are we going to speak? Like, what's going on? So I was just like, let me send a text. So I was like, I don't quite understand.
Yeah.
Again, like, you did all this to let us talk again, and then you're giving me, like, nothing. It doesn't seem like you're really interested. So I'm like, what's up? No response.
Spencer, I love you.
No response.
I love you so much, Spencer. I do. However, the no response is the only response you should need.
Right.
Because, like, you didn't do anything wrong, right? You're doing what any reasonable human being would do if they're interested in someone, right? You show you're interested, you ask if they want to hang out, whatever. You did your part. But for her to be this unresponsive, not the first time, right? This is our second rodeo after her making some kind of declaration of like, oh, I like you. You know what I'm saying?
Twice.
Like, twice. You should have taken, like, when she didn't say anything the day of, you should have been like, I'm not talking to this girl. Like, who cares? If I see her in the hallway, she want to wave at me, that's fine. I'm not talking to her, right? Because to ask again, like, okay, well, what's going on? Like, you and her don't have a relationship, right? Y'all's talking stage was 10 days okay, over the period of like 4 months. So, yeah, no, you should have just been like, bye. Like, bye. But
I just be trying too hard to make things like work.
Yeah. I think you're just like, you're very optimistic and you don't want to let that jade you. I feel like right now you're a little bit jaded now. I don't know if you want to talk about your recent exploits, but like
not yet.
Okay, we'll talk about that next time.
Yeah,
but like I think that you're letting these disappointments jade you, and because of that, I think you need to stop.
What?
You need to make everybody a hallway crush for a little bit. Because you don't want to lose yourself because of what other people are doing and how other people are responding. Because you're a nice person. You know that you're kind. You're very respectful. You don't, you're not the type of person who's like super pushy or like, like, do this for me, nah. Right? Like, you're very cool. You're a chill person sometimes. So...
Not sometimes.
I have to add that in. So I think that like when these things start to affect you, like once you start feeling like you have to change yourself because like, this is how they're talking to me and they're not like responding to me and like these talking stages aren't working, that means you need to stop. You need to take a step back and you need to like reset.
Right.
Because you don't want anything like that to jade you. Because what happens, Spencer, I'm sorry, it's hard out here. It's so hard out here. I'm being serious. You could be going through these types of talking stages that last 3 days, 7 days, 10 days with girls freaking out about whatever, like random things. Like you could be going through this for years. You know that, right? It's a real possibility. That's just like how our generation dates. It sucks, but that's the reality. And it's like if a couple talking stages have you at the emotional state that you're at now, what happens if you go through 5 more? You might be unrecognizable. I might be like, who is my brother?
Unrecognizable.
I'm being serious. I'm being so serious.
I don't...
Because there have been times like most of my talking stages have lasted like 2 weeks.
That's so depressing. Like...
I know, and look at me still standing.
Barely.
No, I'm standing.
Like 5 feet tall.
What are you talking about? Next. Anywho. No, but like my point is that like you don't want to think of every person as a potential relationship. Otherwise, it's going to be like really heart crushing every time it doesn't work out. And the sad reality is that really 90% of the time it's not going. Actually, 90% is giving way too much credit to these people out here. 98% of the time.
98?
Yes. 98%
so I have to
of
be
the time.
I have to be like emotionally disconnected.
No, you're not emotionally disconnected, but you're not going to give anything. You're not going to feel any type of way because of how they behave towards you. You understand? You're not emotionally disconnected. It's just that like, I don't even know you. So why would I care if you ghost me?
That's true.
Like, who are you? You're not important to me yet. You're not significant. Now, let's say you and Plant were dating. Actually, right? And she started ghosting you and you were like, man, I'm heartbroken. We've been dating for months. Is she just gonna ghost me like that? When something is serious and that person is significant to you, when things like that happen, it hurts. But when things are unserious and that person is insignificant to you, you don't want to let that hurt you because it's just somebody who's maybe kind of weird and a little bit strange, doing what weird and strange people do.
Exactly.
And so that's how you have to look at it, in my opinion.
Okay. So I think we'll be back to me in a couple of months.
Right.
Let's discuss you.
Wowzers. So currently in a very long talking stage, but it's also long distance. So that's why things don't have the label that I would want them to have per se. But I also think in a way, I'm glad that they don't have that label just like right now. But we've had those discussions about what is appropriate and inappropriate and like exclusivity and like what those expectations are. But what's your question?
Like, let's talk about the original like talking stage.
Okay.
Like before y'all are like a thing now.
Yeah, well, a little bit more than just a thing, but yes.
Whatever.
Okay,
And
go on.
Okay. Yeah. So, how was like y'all's actual talking stage? Like, do you think it was like automatic, or like did it take you time to like realize like, oh, this is somebody that I definitely want to talk to?
This is how I determine if I'm going to continue talking to somebody.
Okay.
Is it pleasant? And that's it. So are our interactions via text, via FaceTime, in person, is it pleasant? And does it remain pleasant? And then obviously there's additions, right? But that's just how it starts. And I'm kind of a little bit on the fickle side when it comes to dating because I'm not a people person. I don't like to really have people in my space all the time, like, you know, because I'd be kicking you out of my room all the time. But like, so it's really difficult for me sometimes in talking stages where I've talked to people who are cool, but it's just like, I'm not enjoying this. I'm not enjoying talking to you. It's not anything that you've done, but this is boring me. You text me too much, or like we don't text at all. Like, you know, it's always like the in between, or it's always either or, but this felt like in between, if that makes sense. And so it's kind of hard to like describe it per se exactly, but it was just pleasant and it continued to be pleasant. And then the other thing was that it was consistent in the ways that it needed to be consistent. And I always felt like when he would say, I'm going to do this, it always happened, right? Or I'm going to do that, it always happened. And I was like, well, let's see like how far can this go. And that's what happened. But it was always, everything was like kind of reciprocated in a sense. So like, I think he was paying attention to what I was saying and I do the same.
Okay, not to make it about me, but like I feel like
I'm screaming. Go on.
I feel like the problem like with me at this current like day and age is I feel like there's not a lot of people in my like area that I'm like around a lot that I've like feel like would be like potential interests for me. So I feel like whenever anything happens, I'm like, okay, like we need to make this work. Like this has to happen, or else I'm just gonna be single and talking to no one again.
So there's just a lot of pressure, right?
And I get like clowned a lot
by your friends.
Yes, because
your
it's
friends
like,
don't put themselves out there in the ways that you do, though.
No, but like what they'll be like is like somebody said this to me. They were like, oh, it's better to lose in the second round of the playoffs each year than to get to the finals and then lose.
I disagree. And the reason why I do is the more you play, right, the more you learn. So every time you get to the finals and then you lose in the finals, but you've learned so much about yourself. You've learned so much about what you're looking for. You're gaining that experience that you need for when you get older, right? That's all. True. This is none of this. I don't think you're going to find your wife in the next year.
Probably not.
Right. This is just experience for adult Spencer, right? For you to call back on when you're older. The kids who are saying, oh, it's better to get to the second round, what have they learned? What happens when they're in college and now it's time to ask a girl out? Now it's time to take the initiative. what practice have they had?
You'll be shaking,
crying,
screaming,
puking, falling over,
weak in the knees.
But you're going through this kind of, I don't want to say difficult because it's really not that deep, but like you're going through like this process that's uncomfortable for you, right? Like you're feeling you're learning how to deal with rejection, right? How to deal with it with grace. You know what I'm saying? Like you're learning how to be the bigger person in interactions. What kind of partner do you think you'll be, knowing how to deal with all of these different things?
A good one.
And would you have been a good one without these interactions? Probably not. You'd
Debatable.
be looking. There's a lot of people who get into relationships without any experience, like the experiences that you've had, and they're looking at and interacting in this relationship as a 16-year-old. You will be in a relationship as whatever age you are, right? Not as a young person, but as somebody who is mature. And so that's why like people are clowning you, but who cares?
Right.
What are they doing? They clowning you, but you talking to a girl. Right. What else? Is it about my experience, or you want to continue talking about yours?
Do you have anything that you would like to say about your experience?
In general, or this year?
Whichever one.
I think we're talking a lot more about like the talking stage. So I think I can give you some of my advice about that and just some of my experiences. But the best, I don't know if this is a quote, but I started saying this a little while ago. Time will tell. Time will tell you everything. People will say they like you for whatever reason. I didn't even mean that as a joke. I'm just saying, like, they just say that they like you. You don't know the reason they like you. They never can provide. When somebody asks you, oh, I like, or tells you that they like you, ask them why. Start asking that question. Like, okay, what is it about me that you like? Right? But not only that, it's just like, okay, you like me, whatever. So does everyone else. But let's see. Time will tell. If you really do like me, you'll do what it takes to keep me. Right? You'll do what it takes to continue interacting with me, to ensure that I like you too.
And I think that makes a lot of sense, because like a lot of people that I used to tell about my like relationship stuff, they'd be like, oh, like, why are all these things happening? Like, this is so weird. Like, why are these things happening to you? And then they don't realize like it'll probably be like that for them as well. It's
like that for everybody who's putting themselves out there. Like, just the amount of crazy conversations I've had with people, I'm just like, what is wrong with y'all? But at the same time, my thing is, okay, I don't know if I'll get married. I don't know who my future husband's going to be. But let's say I have to get through all these people to find them, right? I don't want to get stuck on the first couple. I don't want to get stuck in the middle, right? I want to, okay, next, you're a bum. Next, you're abusive. Next, you've got emotional issues. Next, like,
you have to,
right? Let's get you, like, when I figure out what's wrong with you, let's get you out the way, right? And then move. And so, wow, it can be really disheartening, those talking stages. It's like, oh, I'm one step closer now. Like, I'm not even mad at it. And look at what I learned. Look at these new red flags or these new green flags, right? So that's how I look at it.
So you have to have like discernment because that's how people end up. Because I'm like, you definitely could have caught some of these crazy red flags, because people can't just hide their entire real person. Like, you see bits and pieces.
Yes.
Very early on that you just don't catch on. You have to be very attentive to that. And I think that's something that I kind of try to ignore. I'm just like, I need like a relationship with this person. I have I'm eyes on the prize, and like anything that could be a potential problem, like we just pretend like it's not happening.
I think what you said is right. The focus is on the potential relationship, and not the person. And then you have to wonder, all these people that you liked, what did you like?
Yeah.
Did you like them, or did you like the fact that they could be someone you could have a relationship with? And you have to you have to be self-aware about that in you, right? Same way I have to be self-aware about the fact that I don't like texting people back and I'm not very responsive. And so I have to be really intentional. And I've apologized to so many people like over the years of like, I'm so sorry. It's been 3 weeks. But
3 weeks.
It's not anything. It's not you. I don't feel any type of way, but this is what's been going on. And you have to be self-aware about the fact that like, you're a relationship guy. You look at things in terms of relationship and not trying to you're not trying to exploit anybody or anything, but knowing that you have to be careful because you could end up in a relationship with somebody that you shouldn't be in a relationship with.
Yeah.
Imagine if you dated Plant. Imagine if somehow you guys got to that point.
If
you guys had made it there, just imagine how miserable you would have been.
Yeah, that would not have been a good relationship.
Right.
And I think something that I'm too focused on at times is being able to like have a girlfriend that I can like post and
oh no, Spencer.
Like those like Pinterest relationships. No, not like I want to be like that. But like I feel like I want to experience something like that to a point.
Oh, so you just want intimacy?
I don't be thinking straight sometimes. No, not with just anybody.
Okay, but like, somebody that feels special to you.
Yeah,
I know what you mean.
But I feel like that can cloud my judgment at times.
It
does.
It do.
Yeah, but
any other things you want me to talk about?
I think I've made a lot of mental progress during this podcast.
I think you have as well, Spencer. I think you came out a new Spencer. Well, not a new Spencer, but
let's talk about it again.
Okay.
Can we meet back in March?
I'm gonna be on campus. We can do some virtual thing.
Yeah, that's true. We can make it work.
We are going to make it work.
We will make it work.
We are going to make it work.
We will make it work. Okay, I like that.
Me too. It's pretty good.
I think, yeah.
I mean, I think that like when we do these check-ins, it's just about seeing what we've learned, what we need to learn, how we need to grow. I think for me, because I haven't really talked about me, where I need to grow, but I think it's learning how to kind of navigate the ins and outs of being with somebody after being alone for a long time, my whole life.
Yeah, that
and
makes
so
sense.
it is definitely like, what I will say is that there was an episode that we did. It was episode 6. I'll link it above for y'all. And we talked about how if you can prepare yourself for a relationship without having been in one, or prepare yourself while you're single. The answer is absolutely not. You can't. I think that I think that the people who are single and thinking that like, oh, I love myself so much, and like, I'm doing all this inner work and everything. You're doing that inner work as a single person, not as a person with another person. And you with another person, that exposes a whole different side of you that you don't know. Like, you really don't know how you'll be when you're with someone, and you don't know what's going to trigger you. You don't know what's going to tick you off. You don't know if you're going to be nagging that person all the time, or if you're just going to be too laid back, right? Or people please too much. And so I think that those are the things that I'm like recognizing in myself. And I'm also like, oh, the advice that I would give somebody in a relationship now is completely different than what I would while I'm single.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And we were talking about this off camera, but
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that I won't be receiving advice from someone who's not in a relationship.
I think it's not that you have to be in a relationship to give good relationship advice. It's just that you have to kind of understand the nuances of what it's like to. You need to have at least been. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need to. I feel like I'm at the point where it's like you need to, had some significant relationship before you can really give advice that's based on at least some experience. Because like, I think that when you're single, you're kind of relying on what your friends have been through and maybe what you've maybe listened to on a podcast or whatever, and you're just getting you're only getting either the really, really bad or the really, really good.
That's
you don't
true.
get any of the in between, and you don't really understand like okay, for example, there will be times where it's like the person I'm talking to will just kind of tick me off a little bit. Not a lot, right? But just a little bit. And I think towards the beginning, it was more triggering because I'm just like, oh my God, right? But then I realized it's the same way you tick me off.
Right.
It's not anything that needs to be discussed all the time. It's just that like you're a different person. You have different quirks, different ways of communicating. You're supposed to end up at some point ticking me off. It's not that big of a deal. But when you're a single person, you think every conflict needs to be addressed. Or not even, it's not even conflict, but you think everything that doesn't, I don't know how I want to say this, but you're thinking that every time something doesn't feel right, that something is wrong. And that's not true.
That makes sense.
I mean, I think that's all we got for y'all today. But you guys know what to do. We said it at the beginning of the episode, but we're going to say it again.
Comment now.
Now.
Anything that you had
Now.
that you were like, ooh, this is interesting.
Now. Right now. Then.
Like.
Right now.
And the like button is actually very conveniently close to the subscribing button.
Very close. It's like you're here and then you're here, right? And then you just travel over here and then
It's
you
pretty
click
simple.
subscribe. And there's
It's
a
pretty
bell
simple.
button too.
And then it'll pop up and you'll see that we're talking about our love lives.
Right. Exactly. Every time we talk about something.
Exactly.
And then
Right.
there was another one, but I can't remember what I was going to say. Oh, we also have a few other episodes.
We have quite a few.
Quite a few other episodes.
Quite a few.
So there's really nothing on Netflix right now. Okay. There's no Bridgerton.
No Bridgerton.
Everybody
no
are-
Outer Banks.
Everybody already watched Love is Blind. Okay. I know there's nothing else for y'all to be watching right now.
Besides us.
But right. So binge.
You have time.
You do. What else are they doing, Spencer?
Exactly.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. You're not doing nothing. So
Just
subscribe.
bored.
Bored. In the house bored. So anywho, please do what we just instructed. Required even.
Now.
Right now. Anywho, thank you.